True with Guns America, and today I'm going to show you a thermal that is possibly going to change the entire thermal industry, not because of its features, which those are pretty awesome too, but because of its warranty. So this is the brand new Sig Echo SV50-LRF. It's brand new from Sig. Now Sig introduced some thermals a few years ago. They weren't really made by them. They weren't really their software. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it very honestly. Sorry if this hurts anybody's feelings, but they sucked. Okay, they were not good. They were not competitive, and I thought they were expensive for what they offered. This, however, is kind of a game changer. This is a 640 sensor. It's a 50mm objective. It's a less than 20 millikelvin, which that's how sensitive the sensor is, and anything less than 20 is phenomenal anymore. That's really fantastic, and it's 12 micron. So those are the basic specs on this 640 thermal. It's also an LRF, which is a laser rangefinder. It's built into the side. You can't bump it, knock it loose. And here's the really cool thing about this. It is Sig's laser rangefinder. This is not some Chinese, just, you know, thermal laser. This is actually a Sig laser. It uses Sig's algorithm, Sig software, and it's the best laser rangefinder I have used to date in a thermal. So they call it a 1,000-yard rangefinder. The other night it was reading at 1,200 yards, no problem. It reads really fast. It's very accurate. It's very precise. I can't say enough good things about the laser. The other cool thing is, if you've ever used a laser rangefinder from Sig before, you should know about the BDX app. It's what we use on the Sig Kilo 10K rangefinding binos or the 8K rangefinder, and those have full applied ballistics on them, meaning they take atmosphere, temperature, humidity, pressure, your ballistic coefficient, velocity, height over bore, all that stuff into account, and give you data basically as far as you can range. This does not have full applied ballistics, but this uses the same BDX app. It pairs, you put in your caliber, your velocity, your BC, and it uses what's called applied ballistics light. Applied ballistics light gives you a ballistics hold out to 800 meters. So that's what, 880-ish yards, just doing the math off the top of my head. So that's a really long ways to shoot with a thermal anyway. Most of us are not going to be shooting that far with a thermal, but the BDX system in here works like this. You plug all that information into your phone in the app. It transfers the info over into this, and then when you range, there's a reticle that you can select inside of the menu that automatically gives you the correct hold and drop for your ballistic data and all that. So I know it works because I've used it on other Sig products before. I'm going to go ahead and be honest and tell you that the coyote that I shot at 300, I think it was 350 yards, I missed. It might have been me. I wasn't in a super great position to shoot from, and it was a little shaky, and I also didn't go verify my dope at all. So I plugged in the numbers. They might not have been quite right, which would be why I missed. So it was a quick trip out. Coyote hunting, and I'm sorry to say that the coyotes I did shoot at, I just sucked it up and didn't hit them, but coyotes were not coming in. A lot of the places I coyote hunt burned here in Idaho, and they're pretty cagey this year, and they literally just would not come in, and so I was shooting at them at well over 300 yards, and I needed to have sort of dialed things in a little better than what I did to hit and make those shots. At 100 I would have had no problem. Even at 200 I'd have been fine. Over 300 was a problem. So let's talk about some of the other features. Let's talk about the mount first. Let's just start there. The mount on this is solid. It locks up tight. I torqued it to 65 inch-pounds. I believe it's going to be very repeatable. It allows the optic to come clear back where you need it for eye relief, meaning it's cantilevered way back. It doesn't get in the way of your charging handle on an AR. And my height over bore on this POF rifle, this PRF AR-15, was just right at 3 inches is what I measured it at, or maybe 3.1. So we're right there. As far as batteries and battery life, this takes two 18650 batteries. In fact, I'm going to pop them out and show them to you. In fact, maybe I can flip this around and just show you while we do this. But you open this battery door, and there's two 18650s in here. And by the way, 4 of them ship with the optic, so you can always have 2 ready to go. And this is what they look like. As you can see, it's a great big battery. It's rechargeable, and it uses a USB-C. So you just plug this into the same charger you plug your phone into, and they charge right up. It comes with a cable with 2 ends on it, so you can charge 2 batteries at a time, which is a nice feature. I love it. This also has the ability to plug it in and download your photos and video, which that's how I used it. I didn't use the app. Plug in the USB to my computer, download a video off of that way. This will also work off of an external battery. So if you have some sort of a big rechargeable battery pack, you can plug it into the side and it will run off of that. I don't know why you would need to, because these 18650s run a long time. Sig says on their product sheet that they run for 11 hours, and I do not think that that's accurate. So I might be wrong. But I was out the other night running this thing, and I never turned it off from about 10 to, I think it was about 3:30 in the morning when I finally shut it down. And I only had like a quarter battery life left. So the 11 hours might be for all 4 batteries that ship with, but I think you're gonna get around 6 hours of just straight constant use out of 2 of these, but it comes with 4, and they take just a second to swap in. By the way, they do not charge in the unit. You have to take them out to charge them. So that's just an interesting thing. This right here, obviously, is what focuses the image inside. Sorry, not the image, but the screen that you're looking at. So you focus this to your eye specifically, and then this is your focus for distance. And I had no problem getting it to focus up. The menu is very intuitive. There's kind of a D-pad on top here. There's 4 buttons, like you can think of it as up, down, right, left, and center. Center turns it on. You hold it down for a few seconds. The optic starts up, fires up, turns on. And then you push it again to get to the menu, and you can see the sub menus. It's very intuitive. It's one of the better menu systems that I've worked through. They've got some interesting things inside, and I'll run you through that in just a second. As you can see here, it's got the dust cover right here that flips down. I like that. It's a 50mm objective like we already talked about. I don't think there's anything else about the outside of this thing that I need to tell you guys about. So I think the other thing I need to tell you is this is a 2-power base modification. So I live out west. I do a lot of predator hunting. 2-power is on the low side for me. I wish that it was 3, and the reason I wish that is just because that's the base. That's what you start at. Now, for you guys that hunt hogs and thick stuff, 2 is going to be premium. It's going to be amazing. You're going to have a bigger field of view. You're going to be able to see more. But the detail this thing pulls in is great. Out to a couple hundred yards, I mean, you can see very distinct features. Our deer here have already, they don't have, I mean, you can still see antlers in the dark at 200 yards, and they're not in velvet anymore. So it's pretty impressive what you can see, and I've got some pretty cool footage of mule deer, and these are wild mule deer. I actually called them in with a predator call, and they came in and stirred around a little bit, and it was pretty cool. You can see the different color palettes. Speaking of color palettes, there's 8 of them in here. Now, some of them are actually kind of cool. I actually like some of them more than I thought I would, but I am a straight up white hot guy. I like black hot sometimes. So those are the 2 that I use the most, is white hot and black hot. Now, to switch through those, normally I wouldn't sit and talk about this, but you just push this button on the side and it switches color palettes. The cool thing about this is, though, is in the menu, if you don't want to have to switch through all of those, you can go in and there's a toggle switch in the menu, and this is not complicated. You can go in and turn each of those off. So you could literally make it so you can only switch between 2 or 3 or 7 or all 8 if you want to. Same thing with the digital zoom. This zooms in, it starts on a base power of 2, it shows 1 inside, but it goes up to 8x digital zoom. And if you don't want it to do that, you can go in and turn off each zoom. So if you want it to go from 1 to 4, you would turn off 2 and 3. If you want it to go from 1 to 4 to 8, you could turn off 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7, right? And then it would only give you 1, 4, and 8. So there's some interesting things in here as far as the menu and things you can turn off or turn on that I actually really quite like. To zero it, it was very simple. You go into the zeroing menu, you point it where you're aiming, and then you simply move the D-pad in the direction that you want it to go for where your shot impacted. So let's say that this is my bullseye and my shot impacted up here. All I'm going to do is move the reticle and it'll leave the white one here. It moves the red one up and you move it to where the shot was. You hit the menu button, tell it I'm done, and it says, hey, do you like this change? You save it, and it literally moves those together and zeroes your gun. So in theory, you could do this in one shot. You're also going to want a chronograph when you zero this so that you can put those numbers in your ballistic calculator. There's a bunch of different reticles inside. You can change the colors, you can change the shapes, all that kind of stuff. If you use the BDX system, you're more limited on the reticle. There's also a feature where you can do a BDC. So based on the data you put in, you could go in and tell it, okay, I want a dot for, I already know I'm zeroed at 100. I want a dot for 100. I want a dot for 200. I want a dot for 250. And I want a dot for 3. And you can go in and tell it the increments and it will put those dots. Or you could tell it I want it at 279. I know that's how far away my feeder is. So I want an actual dot for that exact distance. So that's something pretty cool you can do in the app as well. And that's a reticle in there. So there are a couple other interesting things that are a little different than what I'm used to on other thermals. One of them is that most thermals, you have the ability to put them in standby mode. It shuts down the screen so it quits eating your battery, but it's still on, so you touch a button and it'll turn back on quicker than having to wait for it to start up. And in this case, this does not have that feature, or at least not right now. It might be coming in a software update from Sig, but right now, the feature is you can either have it on or you can have it off, and then there's a setting in the menu that allows it, and you can set the time, but after it holds still, it's the MOTAC. It's kind of like what they have on red dots, where if it's motionless and doesn't move, it just shuts itself off, and then you touch any button and it turns on. And if you don't touch any button in 30 minutes, the whole thing shuts down, but it's got different settings for how long those take. So because of how good the batteries work and how long the battery life is, I assume that they just thought, hey, you know, we're not going to add a feature to shut it down. So I just left it on the entire time, and it would have easily gotten me through an 11, 12-hour night between the 4 batteries. So I didn't run out in the time that I was out there, and it went longer than I wanted to go. So that's an interesting feature. It's IP67 rated, so you're going to be able to get it wet. You can take it out in the rain. It's not a problem with humidity. It has AMR, which is the adjusted range. So if you're shooting angles, which most of us are not going to be doing that with a thermal, but if you are, it's going to take, it's got all the basic features you're used to on Sig rangefinders. Price point is full MSRP on Sig's website is $59.99, and you can, this is apparently the only one that's available right now. There's another version that's a 35 version coming, and I want to say it's a 1.5 power base mag, but this is kind of the flagship with the laser rangefinder. Now let's talk about what I alluded to earlier and why this is a game changer. So if you go buy a thermal right now, especially an expensive one like $6,000–7,000 range, or $4,000 to $7,000, whatever, that is a very big investment. That's more than my first car cost by a lot. And I know that a lot of you are going to be choking right now hearing those numbers, but there's a lot of people buying thermals, and this is a big investment, and most of the thermal companies have a 2-year warranty. There's a couple of them that have 3-year, and there's one of them that has 5. Okay, so basically this is technology, it's electronics. Let's say that 5 years ends and the stupid thing quits turning on, you are just completely out. So basically you have to look at this and say, hey, if I paid $5,000 for that and it lasts 5 years, it cost me $1,000 a year to own this thing. Well, Sig is changing that game. This is industry leading, this is amazing. It's kind of worth giving up some performance, in my opinion, in other aspects to have this, but this is the first thermal to have a full lifetime warranty. So 10 years from now, this sucker, I come out here and turn it on and does not turn on, I can send this back to Sig. If they can't fix it, they're going to send me a newer model that works. So lifetime warranty, pretty impressive. I think that's game-changing, revolutionary. Sig is kind of, you know, showing us that they're actually serious about range or thermals this time. and they're not going to leave people hanging if you buy one of these. So that's really kind of a big deal. Now let's talk about the image quality really quickly. I know that's important to a lot of people. Is this a long range thermal? I'm going to just go ahead and say it's not. It's a base 2 power, right? However, is it possible to shoot stuff at like 300-400 yards? Absolutely. I think it's completely possible to do it ethically, accurately. You're going to need to go out and get a bullet that will do it. You're going to need to get probably a longer than 16-inch barrel for more velocity. You're not going to want to be shooting a flat base bullet like I was shooting the other night. Maybe a bigger caliber if you want to shoot those distances. But the scope is able, it's capable of doing it. And in colder temperatures especially, you're going to see more contrast and more detail. Now, are there better scopes for shooting long range in the dark? Absolutely. But this is going to be fantastic for anything from 10 yards out to 200, 250. You're going to see these images I took the other night that are fantastic. The detail you can see is amazing. I was quite impressed with it. There's a lot of settings in the menu for being able to adjust the sharpness, the contrast, the brightness, all that kind of stuff. So you can really kind of tweak this down to the way that you like it. So this has the ability to record photo and video. You use one of these buttons and hold it down and it will start recording. Or you can go in the menu and turn on the shot record. Basically what it does, it recognizes the recoil or the sound of the shot, and it records 10 seconds before your shot and 10 seconds after, and then just shuts itself off. Now, this is one of the very first ones of these in the wild, and for some reason there was some glitch in this one I have with the software, and the audio was not working on the recording, but it did record video just fine. And I'm sure Sig has a fix, if they've not already fixed it, coming for the audio on the video. So the Echo SV50-LRF ships in a hard case box. It's branded with Sig Sauer. It looks to be waterproof. Pretty awesome. This is what it looks like. Foam case. Comes with a zeroing target. That's where your 4 650 or 18 650 batteries go. Comes with a tool for torquing it on, lens cloth, and I already took it out because I'm using it inside, but it's got a USB with 2 ends on it. This is just a single one in there, but it's got one with 2 USB-Cs on the end, so you can charge 2 batteries at a time. And then this right here is really cool. This has the button menu on it. So this tells you what each button does. It's that simple. A lot of companies, it's really complicated. It's literally that simple. On the back is a QR code to download the manual. Manual is well written, easy to understand, nothing too complicated in it. Here's the other thing. If you're out in the field and you can't remember how to do something, in the menu, you literally go down in the menu and there's a thing that says button layout, and you click it and it shows you that image so you can remember which buttons do what when you're out at 3 in the morning and your brain isn't working quite right. Because this is brand new and nobody's ever seen this before, I'm going to just quickly run you through some of the basics in the menu. So check this out. So you hold down the power button for just a second, the menu turns on, you have your display settings, your brightness, your image, your contrast. And I have my display brightness set at 3, my image contrast set at 3, my image sharpness set at 13, and my image brightness set at 3. Obviously, you can change those. They go up and down a lot. To get back, you just move up and down. It's got the palettes, and you can turn those on and off. Like I told you, there's a toggle switch. You've got digital zoom. You can turn those on and off as well. There's different reticles. In fact, if I go in here, I can show you some of those, the styles, just give you a quick idea of what those look like. Then we're going to go ahead and go back, and there's you can change the colors, photo, video, the recoil, record, device settings, feature settings, zoom shortcuts, button description. I told you about this already. Check that out in case you forget how things work. You can go in and see what those are set at. So very simple, easy to use menus, and a lot of information on there. So let me just see if I can get this rangefinder to read something for you real quick and just show you how it works. Rangefinder is the far button on the right, so we're going to just hold that down for a second and we're going to see what we can hit here. So if you hold the rangefinder down, it will go into a continuous scan mode, and it will just start giving you readings off of whatever it is hitting. Okay, so overall impressions of the Echo, I thought the image was acceptable. I thought it was good. I thought it was competitive with other 640s that are on the market right now. I don't think the display is quite as nice inside as like some of the new stuff from iRay. I think it's on par though with stuff from like Pulsar or anybody else you can think of. So it's not behind anybody. It just wasn't like a big wow feature for me. But the image itself, very impressive, especially out to 250 yards. It looks great. The pallets work good. The rangefinder, absolutely shining star here. This beats everybody else's rangefinder that I've ever seen. You can't bump it off. It's accurate. It's fast. It works so much better than anybody else that I've ever used. And then, guys, the warranty. I mean, the price point is right in line with other thermals that have similar features and performance. But the warranty is going to just sort of blast everybody. I hope it puts everybody else on notice that they're going to have to do a better job with warranty and customer care and all that stuff going forward in order to be competitive with Sig. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let us know in the comments what you thought. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you on the next video.